Brandon, welcome to the channel, man.
I'm pumped.
Can we get a little introduction? This is the first time you've joined me on a live stream.
Yes, I have a YouTube channel. It's Brandon's BrickLot, and I'm kind of a newer channel, so it's really cool and grateful to Stud City for having me on. But I just like to help people grow their business and channel, and I'm learning all that stuff as well. So it's been fun.
You make content and stuff, but you also are a seller, right? Like you do a lot of selling.
Store, been doing that for a while and been pretty successful with it, just finding different avenues and ways to run more efficiently, because BrickLink store is a huge undertaking. If you are just starting out, it can be very overwhelming because you have to know the names of all the pieces and stuff. And so that is what I want to help y'all with, is just learning how to run efficiently, get orders out the door, and not spend hours sorting through pieces and stuff. That's kind of what I've really, my strategy is behind all that.
I can only imagine, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. And also, everybody joining in for the first time, ask your questions. This is going to be fully an hour designated to Q&A style videos. But like, I have a million questions on just like selling Lego on BrickLink, because I think, like you mentioned, you're pretty dialed in on BrickLink, right? And like, from sorting to inventory to buying, like there's a whole lot of content around that, right? All right. Pretty hype. I see the first question that came in. Hey, what up, Peace by Peyton? BrickLink Studios. I said, why is Target not discounting the Coast Guard ship or the green train? What is the green? What is the green train?
I have no idea. I've never even heard of that. So.
What is the green train? You're gonna have to elaborate on that one. But as far as the Coruscant Guard gunship, I would imagine from today till like literally the next 3 or 4 days, as like new Star Wars stuffs are hitting the shelf, especially if there's stores that have not got the new waves in yet, I would recommend checking constantly, because they've been like continuing to lower the price tag pretty heavily on a lot of sets, making room for the new wave. I've been going like literally every day, so it's been pretty fun. There, the city passenger train, bro. What? Oh, the green. Okay, okay. I do know which one you're talking about. Uh, KACH. That is one that I think we've seen the cheapest go on sale for like $130, if I'm not mistaken. But I think you make a great point. It's a set that hasn't gone on discount a lot, right? Like it's not been one readily available. I'm trying to relay it to the old city passenger train, which was the one that retired in I think 2021 or 2022, the blue over yellow. That set costed $160, and right before its shelf life, maybe about a whole year, we were able to find it for like 120, 110, somewhere in that price tag, which was a really good price for a great set. And obviously, with inflation, the prices of Lego going up, the new green one is more expensive, right? It's I think 180, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a set that's just higher price point, but still has a lot of the same Bluetooth features, same amount of track, and just a really fun set in general. But as far as the deals and sales go, it's been a dime or a dozen to get that one.
Actually, for you, and this could be beneficial to everybody watching. So if you're Lego investing, or you're buying inventory to sell, or you're even looking for Lego deals, right? When you know, say a set's like 150, 160, right? You're like, all right, this is good. And you buy it, right? Now you have the tax on top of that, which sometimes can be an additional 30 to $50. So do you count that in the price of your set that you're buying? Because when you're trying to get your money back, you have to account for the tax you paid for it. Even if you get it lower than retail, you still have that tax to deal with.
I'm going to share a little trade secret here. If you're saying this is from a seller's perspective, you're buying?
Well, yes, for business purposes. If I'm just
Perfect.
trying to sell some stuff.
Okay. No, great question. I used to, especially when I didn't have my LLC set up and I was just kind of an individual. I'm not an accountant, I'm not a CPA, but I've been around the game a little bit here, quite a bit now. As of 2025, I think the first month in my state, and every state is dependent, you're able to get a reseller certification. And that allows you to like basically buy your, since we're reselling Lego, you're able to buy Lego essentially tax free. And then, because why should we pay tax twice? This is completely legal as well, but again, see your CPA. Buy your Lego tax free, and then when you sell the Lego, the end buyer is the one paying the taxes on it, right? So I'm not sure if you do the same thing, Brandon.
Again, since I'm a smaller business, it's hard to like learn well, as you're learning along the way, right? But for smaller businesses, they might not have the resources or the access to get certain things right off the bat, you know.
Like this is one that you just you need your due diligence here, because I currently don't have a CPA right now. I'm looking to hire one. I did this myself, and I filed all the paperwork myself, and I did it across many platforms. I'll just say off the bat, I was unable to get Target and I was unable to get Lego.com. But as far as like Walmart goes, Amazon, some of these big blockbusters, I mean, they're tax exempt, right? And that's under my LLC, because I do have an LLC for selling Lego, which is a huge game changer, right? But before that, I was completely always factoring like, okay, well, you know, this percent extra, right, is pretty significant. But yeah, that's a good question.
This is just an example of like that, pay attention to like Stud City is what he's saying is like I bought the haunted house, right? I've been wanting to invest and I bought it right for I had my VIP points, I bought it right, but the tax brought it back up and now I'm trying to sell it, right? 2 years later and I have to wait a little bit longer because I'm not going to get more than what I paid for. I might get exactly what I wanted back, maybe $5 more, but it's not selling for what I want to get.
Inflation, right? Like,
Exactly, exactly.
no, this is a really good question, and I see Cash is already asking, what about eBay? eBay is one that I also have set up. It's under my account, so like I started a new eBay account for some cool things that are coming, but my main account that I buy on and stuff is just under the tax exemption. It was pretty easy. My form is called a 105B off the top of my head, and I literally have it for Amazon, eBay, Walmart. I will say, if you do in store versus online, it is a little bit different. So I don't think I have. Just before I left the country, like 3 months ago, I was trying to set up in store Walmart, and I was having just crazy issues. I don't even know where I left off. I know I left off pretty angry, but it was yeah, I tried to use it in store. I found like a clearance whale, and I was spending like $1,000 on Lego, and I was just like, man, okay, like I'm gonna use my sales tax exemption. I have the documentation. It works online, and the ID number would not work for Walmart in store. And I'm like, what's going on? And then the manager ended up telling me like, oh, well, you have to get it store approved. And then once you do store approved, other stores will just grant it. And I'm like, okay, that's perfect. Let's do this. And she's like, well, you have to, I think this is where it was. I was literally leaving like the next day or two, and she needed me to print all the documents out. And I said, and I was there the day before trying this, and they let me email it to them off their computer. And then they were still unable to do it. But this was a different manager, and they're like, "Well, we don't have an email." So it was just a back and forth of headaches. So that's where I'm at. I need to print off these documents, but hopefully that helps anybody that's trying to do that. It's possible. Yeah. This is the number one like issue that people don't account for when selling Lego, and I'm sure you experienced it. I'm sure everybody in the chats has experienced it. So that's why, like, talking Lego deals and sales, I always feel like 50% off in this day and age isn't enough to turn a profit, right? Like, I think we're more in the 70 to 80% off is much needed in order to, flip Lego for worthwhile, lucrative profit. Next question here. I'll let you read it.
About to start my own Lego YouTube channel this year. My backlog is years long, and I've always wanted to do it. Any advice on starting a Lego channel? Well, I mean, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. I was gonna say this. Like me and Instead City are totally different genres in the Lego niche. Like I do entertainment content. He does more business Lego deals content, and I think kind of what sets and I want to hear Stead City's opinion on this too. Is just like really getting clarity on what audience you want to reach because you are able to branch out after a while, but you've got to start with one thing and you've got to stick with it until you get credibility because if you're just trying to please everybody you end up pleasing no one, and that's where people get stuck on YouTube is just like, hey, I'm not growing and I feel like I have really great videos, and it's like you do, but at the same time uh you're not focusing on one specific person. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. How you started.
Basically hit the nail on the head there. I feel like when starting a YouTube channel, I would make content that you enjoy because if not, you're not going to enjoy it, right? Like, it's the same theory of like doing the job you don't like because it's good money, right? Like at some point, you're like, I can't do this anymore. I quit, right? It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So it's the same thing with Lego content, right? If you like making Lego review videos and going into sets, do that. If you like comparing Lego sets, do that. If you like, whatever the whole stop motion animation, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Focus on what you like. Take away the critics, right? There's too many critics on the internet, and that's another piece of advice I would highly recommend is just delete the comment, block the user. It's not worth your time. There's far better things. Focus on the positive rather than the negative, and there's more positivity than there is negativity. So don't let the small percentage of negativity overrun the greater positivity. What other questions do you guys have? That's a good one. I like that. That's a good topic. Something that like a lot of people don't think about, right? They just fall into the assumption that like being a content creator is easy, staying original ideas is easy and all that. It's far from it, right? And that kind of goes with consistency. I think to scale a channel and all that stuff is like I feel consistency. It's worked for me, and it's been kind of my ground, but I know it's different for everybody.
Is viral is so overrated, especially in 2025 with some new YouTube updates I've been researching and stuff. Is think about we call it VFM, viral for me. Just think about that. Like one video that gets you a million views is not going to make you the money. It's the consistent flow of these videos that people are watching all the way through, and not just one that blows up and has a million views, but only so many people stayed for a little bit, right? You want consistent because that's where the money comes from. That's where the fans come from. Really think about celebrating the small wins helps you go a lot farther than being like, I can't be like Mr. Beast or Ryan Trahan. I can't be like those guys. It's like you don't have to be. They started out somewhere and now they're doing that. You got to scale it and have fun with it. Yeah.
content. But like what I really love is finding the Lego deals and sales. That's what started the channel. That's the main focus of the channel, and that's what like we continue to do along with like live streaming. This is a this is a good one. What do we do with Lego Star Wars, boys? What's your approach for like stocking a brick store with like high price Star Wars sets? Like where does that put you, Brandon? Like, are you like, hey, I need to get my hands on these minifigs? Are you sourcing these minifigs cheap from somewhere else? Like, what's the thought process there?
Somebody I can get them for real cheap. They're like, we don't even care what's in this, just take it. Sometimes they'll be, rare Star Wars sets. They'll just be rare pieces. It takes a little longer, but I wash them all and I sort them. But they get good sales because they're all rare. If people are trying to build sets with wanted lists, um, just a word of caution for you guys who are wanting to start a BrickLink store. It's sealed sets. Like for Lego investing, it's not the best market for it. I'll be straight up honest. The shipping is really where they get you, especially if you're selling the bigger sets. Smaller sets I've had good luck with, but if you're trying to make a BrickLink store to sell some of these sets you've been saving for 2 or 3 years, it's not the best return on your money probably, because they will sell them $20 to $30 cheaper than you would on eBay or Amazon. Plus, you have the $50 to $60 shipping price as opposed to 10 to 12 free shipping on eBay. And so you really want to make sure that uh, your people are willing to pay that, because not a lot of people are willing to pay $60 shipping for a brand new set when they could just go to Amazon and pay $500 and get free shipping. It's just BrickLink's definitely a more of a collector's type of platform. Like if you're a Lego fan, you know where it is. It's specifically for Lego people. And so I specialize. The best you're going to do is minifigs and pieces. If you're starting out, you definitely want to do that. People are always looking for rare minifigures or army building, right? And then they're looking to complete sets they had as a child. Maybe they're missing some pieces and they want like to find pieces. That's why they would come to BrickLink in the first place. They're not your average shopper that's on Amazon, like trying to find a set for their kid for your birthday or Christmas, right? They're not. That's not the audience we're looking for. So we want to target again specific people that are wanting to build sets or minifigures, and that's the way I go. And so getting minifigure lots on eBay to sell on BrickLink is a better choice than trying to sell sealed sets on BrickLink, if that makes sense.
Something different, right? That you
But it
don't
makes
normally
the
don't hear
money.
of.
I'm targeting a certain audience, and that's how I've been able to scale the business. From I started with 100 pieces, and now I'm at over 20,000 pieces for sale, and it's just people just keep buying stuff, and then you're able to scale very quickly because I know exact audience I'm targeting, and so just really think about that. Do you want to specialize in minifigures or do you want to specialize in pieces? And that's where you want to put your funds when you start your store. Uh,
Those, Facebook Marketplace.
Significant yet, which I don't have a lot of minifigures, but I was able to find like a $23 piece one time. It was just a windshield from something, and I sold it, and it was like that is crazy, right? It's just like I saw that in the bin when I'm looking at Facebook Marketplace. I'll see one piece in that bin. I'm like, I know that's worth the whole bin, and I'll buy it. Sometimes I can get them to go down because they just want to get rid of it, and it's insane. Uh,
It's not like something that's easy that people are just like paying top dollar for, right? Yeah.
pretty quickly, for sure.
So unfortunately, I can't answer that one. Although I see Adam says he's collecting all of the collectible minifigure series. That is an interesting one. That's pretty notorious for increasing in prices and like worthwhile to invest in is like those just collectible minifigures. I feel like on paper, even in the short term, they've all done pretty well, especially staying. Yeah, even staying at the $5 value, right? Like, I don't think any CMF is easy to find under $5. So like they've all appreciated, which is really good. I can think of a few in series 27 that are, not as good, but still are like $4 at the minimum. But man, even that, I feel like those have gotten on clearance pretty heavy. I think Lego.com themselves had them for $4 or like 350. So it's like, there's a entry to bear here. Like you can get the good Lego deals and sales. I feel like buying MSRP Lego to resell in the future is always a ill advised. um, yeah, it's pricey, bro. Sucks. I jumped in. So yeah, that's another thing. Is like, is it too late? Is Lego investing dead, or is Lego selling dead? Well, I think it's just I've said this in many videos. I think it's just changed. The game's changed. It's not too late. You're never too late. Um, I just think the game's changed, and it's changed significantly. I can elaborate there, but I'm curious to what you think, Brandon.
Years since I've been in the Lego game, it's like it's changed dramatically. Like inflation, especially like Lego raising their prices. Uh, I don't know. You guys have heard about the new Pokemon line or whatever that's coming out. I've heard that's going to be a great thing to invest in. I don't know if I'm doing it or not, but depending on what they look like. If they're collectible, like people would, how popular Pokemon is, right? If the sets are good and they're buildable, right, that's going to be a thing you want to get your hands on and buy a lot of those. But I don't know. I really can't say because I haven't been in it very long, but it's definitely changing. I would agree with that. It's just a lot more expensive to. You don't have as much money to put into it as you used to.
Elite trainer boxes were half off during Black Fridays, like that stuff that just does not exist in modern day, right? And you bring up Pokemon, and obviously nobody knows what Lego Pokemon is in store for us. Is it buildable characters? Is it new molds? Is it like the Mario theme? Like nobody knows. But we continue to see videos, and I think Costco had a drop today, and I didn't go. They had the new prismatic ETBs with a Pokeball in there, and you just saw people filling carts like normal, right? Um, and it's crazy, and it's crazy to think that that market potentially might overflow into the Lego market, right? Like, oh man, it's interesting. And will that help Lego's collectability? Because I feel like right now Lego's in a little predicament of um, y- hurting its collectability market, right? I feel like they've overproduced. We've seen it with sets. When I first got in 2019, I think there was 650 or to 700 sets being made. Now we're over 1,000 a year. That is a huge upscale. So oh, there's so I can go so far into detail on this, but
Get like I mean, because well, I mainly collect Disney. Like that's my thing. I've pretty much have almost all of them. But then they come out with like 10 or 12, and you're like, I can't, I can't buy all these, uh, and I would, but uh, And like when you're looking at the aftermarket of a lot of these just sets they throw together, it seems like they lose value. They're not very good at investing. There's like a handful of them that are, but there's a lot that I would just like. I don't know if I would want to risk $1,000 and buy 10 of these sets. I don't know if I want to risk that. Just like looking at the data in the past and looking at it in the future, and I mean that's one thing that's it's just a lot harder to predict what sets are going to do well than in the past because you can predict by theme usually. You know, Star Wars would kill it. Ninjago sometimes would kill it, but then now it's just kind of like some of these Star Wars ones don't really like no one really likes them or they're on the shelves years later, and it's like I just don't know if I want to pick that up because they last longer than they used to on shelves, and so it's really hard to decipher which ones are going to do well in the aftermarket.
There's a new huge set being released, and like based off a few years ago, that wasn't the case, right? And I wouldn't even just say just big sets, right? Like we went from 600, 700 sets, even if that, to here in 2025, and last year, 2024, like over 1,000 Lego sets being made. Like that is a significant number. That's huge. So it's harder for us to pick that, like, hey, this Star Wars Republic Juggernaut is the one that's gonna, increase the most in aftermarkets, right? Like it's just been so much harder to gauge because there's just so many more sets. And like a good example of that is the Bad Batch shuttle, right? Like that one is just like literally on Amazon for MSRP price point of when it retired, and it's been 2 years now. So, yeah, the Lego investing game changes.
I need to keep up with the stuff because I need to know when to sell these sets before the remake comes out because now they're not now they lose value even more than what I was holding them up for 2 years for what? Now it's like all it's all gone because they've re-released another version of it. Um,
Oh, is that the right move? Can we get something more original, right? Like, why do we need to re-release? I understand if it's been 2 decades, 3 decades, but like sets from a couple of years ago, 3, 4 years ago, getting remade is just. I mean, it's tough to see. What I'd say.
and the amount of what are the snow speeders that come out each year, I am blown away. It's just like so many of them, and like you're like you could make something else. But it's just crazy how many re-releases they make to come out.
Off here a little bit, but this is interesting to see um, how many number of sets were made in each year. So 2024, 935, 2023, 930, 2022, 973, 2021, 952. I feel like these last 4 years is like when we've seen the increasingly big shift in the Lego market, right? Like ever since 2022-ish area. So I think that makes sense, right? That's why when you go on Facebook Marketplace, you see a lot of these sets from 2020 plus hitting the market, right? We don't see as many from older. It's because people just overbought during that time period. And I don't think it's just the Lego market. I feel like it's other markets too. It's tough to say, right? Everybody's situation is different, right? If you have, you know, $10,000, are you willing to split it across 10 sets? Or if you have $100,000, would you want to split it? Like, it just depends on the numbers you're working with, right? Like, that's kind of the biggest thing there. I definitely have started to spread out across different sets and themes because I just don't think Lego Star Wars is what it used to be anymore. And kind of like shifted my investment game plan because of that. It's just, it's with so many sets being produced, it's just changed, right? And I feel like there's things I look for. Minifigures, exclusive parts that are printed, like, those are the things I feel like those 2 things are ones that, like, you can't really stretch across other Lego sets, right? Like, if there's a set, right, this was a helmet and just had stickers and just normal pieces, I don't think it's going to increase in price that much. Like the MIDI scale, I think the MIDI scale Lego Star Wars sets are a great example. Granted, they have printed plaques and all that stuff, but I'm really not touching those with a 10-foot pole unless they're 50, no, 60 to like 80% off because it's just like, man, do I not think these are a great investment in the short term. In the long term, it's different, but I'm not really willing to hold those on long term. So that's another thing, longer versus short term.
It's like, and they're so expensive. Like, they're expensive now, and it's just like those show. Like, that's another thing is like, don't get discouraged about Lego investing. Like, it's changing, but think about now that you have so much more sets, you have a much higher percentage or a much higher chance of getting a landing a big one. But you just have to think more strategically because you can definitely hit big with these certain sets. You just got to.
You're in here today. We also have, I have to call it out, Brick Lab Studios, member for 6 months. Says, I'm pretty new to Lego selling, but I'm having a ton of fun learning the ropes and selling on Whatnot and eBay. Both amazing platforms. So I'm glad you're enjoying that. Thanks for being a member. And hopefully you have a lot to learn here, Brick Lab. Then also we have a Brick Tonium sending 5 Stud City gifts, joining the Green Name Nation. Bricktonium, thank you for doing that. It's always a great month to be a Stud City member. I will be dropping a bombshell video tomorrow for our members only. So it's a perk. Every Wednesday I drop a video, but tomorrow in retrospect it's literally titled I got banned by something. So it'll be interesting. And it is true. This is not clickbait. It is true. So I hope you guys are excited for that. So Kimmy, Alex Sharman, Chase, Moonraker, Cub Nation. Hope you guys enjoy that. But dubs in the
I've been, I've, yeah. Well, yeah. We'll have to. We'll talk about it later. But that was crazy. Kind of sad. But anyway.
I disagree. I mean, you hop in some of these, Whatnot, some of these, I guess that's like the only live auction one, for now. Wink, wink. Um, you hop in some of these platforms. I mean, you're seeing Lego sets sell, right? So, like, I don't think Lego investing is dead. I think I've said it earlier, but the Lego investing game has shifted, and right reasons, right? Like, I don't think anything should stay stagnant. I think everything always needs to move forward, and Lego is a part of that. So, I think collectability wise, I question some things. I don't collect as much as I do as far as just like normal everyday Lego sets. I feel like that's kind of changed, but yeah, everybody's perspective's different. What other questions you guys have? Hit us, hit us with some questions. uh, yeah, there we go. Make sure I didn't miss any, and hopefully the lag's not too bad. I don't know. Every time, like the last 2 days when I've done these vertical streams, it's been lagging. Hmm, interesting. Whenever Nick and Brick says, whenever Stud City talks, the guest video freeze and vice versa. Huh. I wonder if it's because of, like, or YouTube still new to this vertical form streaming, and especially with guests. Like, I wonder if that's I'm assuming it's a YouTube thing. I don't think it's a Wi-Fi thing.
It's it's interesting.
Different. Clutch Hit has a really great question here. It says, "Shout out to the Discord." Hey, shout out to the Discord server. Best like deals around. But what are your thoughts on selling on Whatnot without going live? Just selling from Buy It Now. My truthful, non-paid thoughts and opinions here are, commission, like, your fees are equal on Whatnot than they are on eBay, and eBay has a much more powerful audience. They receive, I think, 130 million monthly viewers, and then Whatnot receives like 3 or 4 million monthly viewers. So, like, I mean, I think Whatnot's more specified, right? Like, that's more designated to Pokemon, Lego, and some other smaller collectible stuff. Personally, I think eBay would be more intuitive there, or like Facebook Market. I think each one of them have their benefit. I think it's a great platform for selling, but I think it might just sit there far too long. I feel like it's more used for live. That, like, I don't think there is as that many shoppers. And it's new, right? And I think it'll grow in time. But yeah, um, I do like their interface though. It's fantastic.
This D-weed friend. What was the biggest size piece count set that you have sold? What's one of your like best investments ever? I guess. Yeah, just yeah. I guess that. Uh,
Biggest Lego set I've sold? Oh man, I try to stay away from the big sets. Like, I have an extra UCS AT-AT that I need to sell, but like, there's no shot I'm gonna sell that online. It's literally not worth it. Like, I'll find a private sale either between Facebook Marketplace or a convention I go to that somebody wants it. Um, but I feel like the biggest range I'll stay into is like the modular size buildings. So like that big, right? There's sets I've sold that are just worth more that are smaller, but I feel like as far as big wise goes, like a Lego modular building getting shipped out, or some of the BrickLink set, or yeah, BrickLink designer program sets. Yeah.
someone starting to sell like sets. What's a good size that you've found of box to where you don't get too much, you don't lose too much fees and shipping? Because that's one thing I thought about just now is like I wanted to hear your opinion on that because some sets are just massive to ship, uh, are not worth it.
Pick the smaller stuff. It's just easier to deal with. It takes less room, it's less risk because it's smaller and easy to deal with, and then storage and stuff, like, it is a lot, but you can be super profitable in a lot of those smaller sets. So I would really focus there between, like, minifigs, of course, and then smaller sets, and like as far as like battle packs, right? Like, I feel like battle packs a good size, or the size of like the Arc 170, that fits in like the medium size USPS box. I feel like that's a great size. Stay in that like USPS like medium size box. That is a good solution to stick with. increase, and now that everyone is buying for the value and not so much the collectability, don't you think things will eventually crash? Now, there's always going to be a crash person, right? Like the market's always going to crash, but if you look at like the market's always going to crash, right? And then, say the market does pull back a little bit. It's like, oh, see, I was right. But then you like zoom in on the scale, just like referring it to like the stock market or something. It's only gone up, right? And I think with inflation, with the US dollar always being deflationary, I don't think Lego being a collectible market, I don't think, and this is not financial advice, but I don't think things will go down in price, right? Like, I don't think you'll see this is easy to say because in 2022 we saw Lego just magically increase the price of a bunch of sets, right? And they said it was because of inflation, right? Like, isn't that what the official statement was? But one example I could just throw at you was the Lego Ideas blacksmith. It was $150 overnight. It was now $180. Okay, after inflation finally came down after a year or two, that set magically did not go down to $150. It stayed at $180, right? Like, these things just don't happen. Things increase in prices, they don't decrease. It is because the dollar is continuing to get, it's not as strong.
Post office, and it's I've been there like 3 years, and they have increased prices like every quarter by like $5, and it's outrageous, and you're just like, wow, this is insane. Uh, and it's like, what does that mean for us business owners who are trying to like start out, because the shipping will kill you because you have Amazon, right? And they can just ship it for nothing. And it's like, why would somebody want to pay $10 for your set as opposed to going to Amazon? And that brings another point with your when you're starting your business is have good customer service, like connect with people, because people will choose good customer service and character and stuff. They will, a lot of times they'll choose that over the big guys. uh, if people care, if you care about your customers, and I try to care about my BrickLink customers as well, and my eBay, it's like I really try to get back with them as fast as possible, help them out if they have problems with their order. It's just like, if you care about the person, they will come back every single time. And it's really powerful to like really think about that. Is the money, if you can think about the money second, your business does a lot better in the long run.
More than somewhere else because you offer, the relationship, and you're in the community and you engage with these people and you offer the customer service like you're saying. They'll choose you over than just buying it from Amazon, and that, I mean, that means a lot, especially to a small business owner like myself, like you, right? Like a lot of these sellers. Yeah. Nick and Brick says, I'm not buying Lego to resell. It's not worth it. Invest in the stock market if you want to invest. Now, I love that. I love that topic, Nick and Bricks. I feel like I've been in the Lego game for so long. I've been in the stock market longer than I've been in the Lego game. So put that into perspective. I only allocate a small percentage of investments to Lego versus the stock market, in like relativity, right? But I continue to invest in the stock market. But I do think Lego offers something that the stock market doesn't, and it's like retirement days and short term gains and like profitability. And now the investing game's changed. I don't think it's nearly as it was. Like, in I think I can call out a year here. I think it was 2019 or maybe 2020. An example here, a good example, is the modular downtown diner was retiring. And granted, it went on sale during Black Friday. You were able to get like a Rakuten, a triple promo stack, and it ended up costing like under $100 for a downtown diner. And in my head, I'm like, this is crazy. I could buy this set knowing in 2 months it will no longer be available. And after 2 months, I could sell it. And I did. And at the time, I was very broke and didn't have not a lot of money. And I only bought like one, maybe two, I think I bought two of them, maybe two or three. And anyways, exactly what happened. That set was like $400 within like a month or two. So it's like, in the stock market, I was unable to confidently double my money in 2 to 3 months. And I think that's something interesting that Lego's collectability offers versus the stock market doesn't. Yeah. What up, Teddy? Sorry to go on that rant. uh, Stock market is unpredictable. Like investing game is very interesting because things don't go up as much as they used to. I feel like the Lego market's more unpredictable than the stock market. That's my 2 cents.
I I personally lean more towards used Legos and bins. Is you never know what you're gonna get, and even if from like 2020 on is the values dropped significantly, those even the older ones have not. And so if you can get your hands on those, and even if they're not new in box, you can still sell them sometimes for a lot more than the sealed version. There's several Star Wars sets when we've been doing the tier list that are worth more used than new for whatever reason. And so sometimes finding those sets like from older people that have just had them in their attic or whatever, you're just like, wow, this is crazy. It's just like thinking of it differently. Like those sets are like out there. You just have to find them in a different way uh than what you're used to, and you can't be afraid to try new things because it's my one of my things I live by is just like, hey, if I'm trying this thing over and over again and it's not working, why am I still doing it? Like, if I'm not getting sales in my BrickLink store, why am I so mad that my system's not working? Why don't I just try something different? And then boom, it works. Uh,
Don't get me wrong. If I have multiples of some sets, including UCS AT, but selling it, yeah, selling Lego is the biggest pain, and that's kind of what we're talking about in today's video, and hopefully have more insights to this going on in the future. Selling Lego is the pain, and that's why we're doing the stream so we can find best practices, so we can engage with you guys and figure out how other people are selling. Should you start selling on Amazon? Should you start selling on Facebook? Should you start selling on Walmart? Right, like what are the best, whatnot, eBay, all those platforms, right? And figuring out what's the best. And I think it's like it's dependent on you, right? And myself, right? It's different for everybody. Will says it is. I know it. Wait, it is, but I remember it was so easy just selling a convention with minifigs. If you're selling online, it's way too much of a hassle for me, and shipping costs and everything. Yeah, you have to factor shipping costs. Tape, printing labels, the printer. All these things that you don't think about. I don't think selling 5, 10, 20 sets is profitable. I think you need to be selling way more, or minifigs, right? I think you need to be like really committed to make it worth your time.
one thing that's hard to grasp in this world of just like everything's going fast. Like there's so many videos about there how to make money in 30 days or whatever, and it's just like investing is for your future, and that is what is hard for a lot of people to grasp when they're starting a business and learning to invest is like you're not going to make a lot up front. You might lose some up front, but think of the potential and think of the compound effect, and you'll see how. I just know, like, when I started my BrickLink store with like nothing, it was just like, wow, this is. I feel like I'm not making any money, and then I look back now, and I'm like, wow, I made so much. Like, I had a lot of expenses, of course, but I was like, I actually made money, and I had nothing. And it's just cool that compounding effect that you get, and you just look back, you're like, wow, it actually does work, but it not in the moment, not in the moment, for sure. Yeah.
The bed. Good to see you, another channel member in the house. Yes, Will. I am finally dropping the course here. If anybody does want to check out the course and continue on our discussion, it will be pinned in the comment section. Blackjack Gaming says, any tips for a newbie opening a BrickLink account? I think this is a great point. Brandon's going to take this question, but I would love to do a quick mention that your BrickLink's name, store, the whole thing is going to be integrated with your Lego account here very soon. So
Hopefully, when it switches over, it it works. Let's see. Any tips for blackjack gaming? Great question. This is another thing me and Stud City have been working on is the course. It's really going to help you grow. I've made a course of how to start a BrickLink store right off the bat, and you can start making money and all the best practices. But as far as uh, tips for new people is just like really learn your platform. You know, don't get discouraged. BrickLink is very confusing. There's a lot to it, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And that's what I did in the course I made for y'all, is just like it really breaks down where to start. Because when I started my BrickLink store, there was one YouTube channel and they helped me learn how to navigate. And because of the new update, it's changed, and that's why the new course that we've created and we've worked so hard for you guys is this tells you how to use the new updated version of BrickLink, because they've changed a lot of stuff, and it's easier in a way, and it makes it accessible. But are there any specific questions you have around uh, BrickLink or anything like that that can expound on your question? Uh, and I can give you some pointers. But yeah, I'll be happy to answer those.
Lego, like actually just trading rather than buy, sell. I feel like the tough part with that, Alex, and I mean, that's a brilliant on paper. But I feel like the tough part would be like, the shipping, the logistics, right? Like it would be a lot harder. Um, I feel like a cool one would be like linking people in an area to kind of do that, but with info.
Would totally do that. I would totally trade some sets that I have. That's a great uh that's a great thing to do. That's a great idea, actually. uh, but yeah.
Lego, mostly brand new, as I do toy fairs, toy shows, and I just don't know where to start. Would you recommend BrickLink versus listing them on, eBay or whatnot, or Amazon or Walmart?
If you do toy fairs, I'm assuming they're not pieces. We were talking about that earlier too. BrickLink is not the ideal platform for set selling. It works. The smaller sets, polybags, Mixels, if you're into those, Bionicles, those sets do really well to sell because they're nice and easy to ship when you're starting out. But if you get into, you know, say sets about like the battle packs or the small Star Wars ships, those can get really pricey really quickly, depending on where it's going, where you're shipping to. And so I would lean toward eBay, but since you said euros, BrickLink's a lot bigger in Europe, and so I don't exactly know how the market works overseas necessarily. You could I don't know what the shipping's like overseas is what I'm trying to say. So it could be cheaper than the US, and it could be more beneficial that you use BrickLink. I'm not sure. You would have to, if you go to Chat GPT or Gemini and ask them stuff like that, that's where I would start, is being like, kind of what's the market like. I have if you go to Chat GPT and you're like, hey, I have 2,000 euros worth of Legos, right? And I was just curious, what is the biggest platform that Legos get sold on in the UK, right? And see what it comes up with. If they say, oh, the top three, eBay, BrickLink, and Facebook, then go with those, and then research the three, and then whichever is easiest for you to make, I would go with that. Um, so I would do a little bit of research on that, because you would know your area more than I would.
As he says, I've tried eBay, just doesn't work. Whatnot is not available in Dublin at the moment. I do email them every 3 months in the past few years, as they're just not willing to come over. I feel like with eBay not working out, why is eBay not working out for you? I feel like that one of all is probably the best platform to like move. Like imagine you, unless you're asking prices too much, right? If you put things up on bid, I mean, you will fly through sets, right? Like that is a great way of getting through some items. Um, and I know you mentioned conventions. Have you been to some of the ones like Bricktastic? I feel like you can move a lot of Lego pretty quick there. Convention wise is really good. And then, I mean, get creative, right? Like, I think another idea that's like not been discussed is, hit up some of the big stores in, Europe's huge, right? I can name some huge stores in Germany, like off the top of my head, that would like be drooling over inventory of 200,000 euros, right? Like off that they would be very much interested in. Like maybe you want to offload to those guys, right? And put up a package together and be like, hey, I have this, it's valued at X. I know you need to make money. Here's 20% that you profit that you can make on this. You throw them that package, put it together, and I bet you can really move some of that inventory. Um, uh, to the left is Brandon from Brandon's Bricks Lots. For example, I have 178 Dragon Paladins from the D&D series. Ah, okay. So you have minifigures. Ah, okay. Um, yeah. I mean, I think at Blackjack, I think you need to reach out to some, uh, you know, eh, get creative here. I think go on Whatnot, right? And granted, you don't aren't able to sell on Whatnot, you could sell to a lot of the sellers, right? There's many of the big ones that stream every day, if not every week, or every other day. Maybe reach out to them, put together a package, be like, hey, I have 180 paladins. They sell for. I watched on your stream, they sold for $15. I'll sell you mine for 11.50, $12. I know you need to. They need to make profit, right? Like they have to make a profit. You're not going to get $15 per, right? I don't. I'm just saying, for example, if that was the price, but you can offload to them. It's a good way. Mhm.
Well as you said, so you're saying whatnot. BrickLink definitely, especially if they're old minifigures. BrickLinks, that's where the money's at. The shipping is very affordable on those minifigures because they're so tiny. Definitely, you definitely have options now that we kind of know what you're selling. Uh, for sure, that's cool. Awesome.
John asks, "Is that a giant?" Well, this won't be the last question, but is that a giant Wally in the background? And I know you did a pretty awesome mock. So,
That's my little project I've been working on. So it's taken a long time, but that's it's pretty cool.
yeah, no worries, Blackjack. Feel free to. I'm gonna put it in the I forget what link tree. So in my descriptions, you'll be able to. I forgot to add that, but I will go ahead and add that. That way you can find it on any platform. As this is, I guess, an official launch. Like this will be the official debut. I kind of thing. I really
Or any questions you guys have once you're in the community, which is going to be really helpful to get you started. We're here for you and we want to see you succeed. Dude, John, he's like, yo, he bought the 2x4 bricks from our BrickLink store. I remember you, dude. That's crazy. I do remember that. That's awesome. That is incredible. That's funny.
but we are going to be keeping. We're not going to be gatekeeping, but we're going to be doing these live streams. Probably, maybe if not once every other month, quarterly, to do one-on-one meetings with you guys through Podio with our course. So it'll be pretty exciting stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. But that's gonna wrap up today's live stream. So thank you guys for all the Q&A. This was a fun video to talk about deal sales selling. It's always an interesting topic, always changing, and we should probably do it more often. So I appreciate you joining, Brandon and Brandon, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night, all.